Welcome back to another episode of Cobra Kai Companion. And I am Peter, and you guys, we are back with another top five episode list. We will get into that pretty soon here. But on the other side of the mic is Watch Party. How you doing, sir?
I am good. Top five what, Peter? What are we talking today?
We are talking about the top five plus three honorable mentions of things we want to see in season six of Cobra Kai.
So it's a top five, not a top eight. You had top five with three honorable mentions.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just clarifying that.
Yeah. Honorable mentions, I think they're kind of fun because usually they're in no particular order,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just like, oh, things just right outside that top five that's just worth mentioning. And that's
Like Miguel
pretty
getting
much all it
kicked
is.
off the banister. It's
Yeah,
like
well,
it's
that,
okay. It's a mention. It's honorable. It's honorable.
yeah. It's in there. Like, I mean, I could have been. Yeah, I should have said it, but I could have said something like, well, I figured you guys would have it on your list, so I just
Yes.
wanted to use it for something else. But but yeah, we're gonna get into some other things that are going on right now, which is
What's in the news?
what's in the news. There's a few different things. I think there's let's see here. I think Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is performing pretty well, and I don't know, like I know we're having some fun with right now, but immediately I did start thinking about like real life news, and there's a lot of shit going on right now, all over the country, as such as it does.
As
Very
it does,
depressing,
yeah.
as
Especially
it
if you
does.
spend a lot of time on social media, you'll get bombarded with it, whether you want it or not.
Yeah, just be careful with the things that you know. I wish I could filter out more things, but yeah, there's just a
Yeah,
lot
me
of
too.
things,
I
yeah, going around in the country. But as it relates to Cobra Kai, there is a writer strike going on right now. There are other shows. I think Daredevil was one that was recently announced that they were shutting down productions. But as far as we know, production is still a go, but many of the writers are currently picketing at different lots right now.
yes, yeah, they posted a photo a couple of days ago. Now they were in front of the Fox lot, right? They were in
Yes,
front of Fox. I noted they weren't in front of Sony, so I
right.
guess don't bite the hand that feeds you. But they were in front of Fox. Um, but yes, the WGA, that's the Writers Guild, which basically covers all the scripted writers. I guess it's like in America. I don't know if they cover Canada too, or like, well, like they're even technically the West because there's technically an East, but like essentially most of
Right.
the film, like Hollywood or something. Like if you're writing in there for Hollywood, they went on strike because they were unable to reach a deal with like the studios and streamers and such.
Right. Their contract just expired on I know it was a Monday. Let's see,
I
when
feel
was that?
wasn't
The
it like
8th.
May 1st or something? Was it?
Oh, was it last week?
Yeah, we're in week two now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you're right. Holy cow. Okay, so it expired midnight on the first,
Hmm.
and on the second is when they started striking and picketing. Yeah, again, different lots. A lot of support out there. Earlier today, I believe it was, Tony O'Dell was
Hmm.
also out there. You had Mary Page Keller was also out there with Tommy Dean Griffith.
Hmm.
TB3, John Josh and Hayden, and some of the new writers, actually all the new writers as well, and many of
Yeah,
the
most of them
familiar
that
ones.
we're all together. Yeah.
That's right. So, how does that relate to Cobra Kai? As far as we know, they are still in production. I don't know if they'll even announce if it does kind of delay, or if they stop filming or whatnot. Unless they were shutting down completely, right?
Yeah, I mean, if they shut down completely, it would probably get announced at some point because like you can't keep it a secret. Like
Right.
everyone goes home, right? So yeah, it would be announced. It does appear, to be clear, also like the strike didn't come out of nowhere. Like everyone knew the contract was expiring. There was no
Right.
deal. Like, and people, it seems definitely like, they, John Josh and Hayden, as well as Netflix, knew this could happen and it made sure to get the scripts written beforehand. So it definitely looks like at least some of the scripts, obviously for the first part of the season, maybe the whole season, were written. They started the writers' room in February, right? So they've been
Right.
working at it for 3 months. So there's definitely time to get those scripts written. So it's, they can go into production as long as they have stuff to shoot. We don't know how much that is. Maybe it's even the whole season. Maybe, we don't know, but,
Right.
they're definitely in production now. I think it's possible because if they knew it was coming and Netflix said, hey, get the scripts done so we can go into production, and that's what they did. But that's just my own speculation. I don't know how much they have. All I know is they have stuff for right now.
Right. In terms of like the first episode, you would imagine the way they had it wrapped up, they had some idea what was going to happen in that first episode. Where are we going to pick up immediately? It's not just like a new season. Where do we start telling the story? We're working into the end game of the series here. So
Right, right.
yeah, yeah, everything's already currently mapped out. So TP3 planning ahead, I would imagine they already had an idea who would be writing that first episode. So ideas have been kicking around for some time, I would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
And once the assignment was given to said writer, I would imagine they start writing the dialogue and turning in all the different passes and whatnot. And it was probably just as polished and ready to go. By the time they started production. In your video, you also mentioned that, somebody like a Frank Helmer who has to plan what the characters will be wearing needs to know things in advance, like what will be happening. So
Yeah.
yeah, at the very least, like some really good outlines of season 6 is probably already out there, and now it's just kind of filling in the gaps of the dialogue and such.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you remember coming across any other reading where do you think is kind of worth mentioning?
In regards to Cobra Kai, I don't know much.
The contract, the
Yeah,
contract, yeah.
in regards to the strike overall, like what's being debated. Yeah, I actually had to look, and I was trying to find stuff. I found the best like article that just sort of like hit the actual points of like what is this all about. I found on the Hollywood Reporter, and it seems like at least the impasse as of when the strike started, which is when this was written. There was a lot of issues that they hadn't agreed on. Some lesser, some probably more significant. Like I was looking like some of these proposed um, increases in pay, like the minimums that they pay, they were for the next 3 years. Like the WGA was wanting 6%, 5%, 5%, probably just that just covers inflation and stuff.
Right.
And then the studios were countering 432 for the next 3 years, like 432. I think that's a smaller issue. Those are the sort of things probably they're just not agreeing to because they don't want to give away negotiating leverage. Like
Uh,
it's sort of like more of a negotiating tactic. Like those things they'll probably agree to something eventually. But then like some of the bigger issues, like the WGA is trying to get let's see, minimum of 6 writers per room. This is like on television. This is for the television. Like how many writers are in the writers' room, plus 2 more for every additional, or no, one more writer for every 2 additional episodes to a max of 12. Like, and they want that in the contract. And then more with the writers going to set. So it's for a minimum of 10 weeks, which includes sending writers to set. I think they wanted like half the writers from the room to be on set, and then at least one writer through post production. I don't know. Like, this is something that like George R. R. Martin wrote a long blog post about, talking about how he learned so much about television from when he had his first job and he was on set, like while they were filming the episodes he wrote. So, it's sort of thing like it's important, for people, but like it doesn't seem the most necessary. I don't like shows seem to work without it, but I don't know. I think this is part of a transition from what old television to new television. Uh,
Right.
that
Yeah.
particular one, yeah,
Yeah.
because
A
they
lot.
used to have big writers' rooms and they were writing while they were shooting because there were so many episodes. So the writers could then go to set or something.
Yeah, and a lot has changed since the last writer's
Hmm.
strike as well. We're talking about like before we started recording that the last two strikes all lasted over 100 days. But also since then we've got streamers now, so a lot has changed. And
Hmm.
at least for me, I have no idea how that affected the production team and the writing staff. But it will be interesting to just to see what happens.
Hmm.
Um,
Well, you mentioned streamers. Well, let me get in because that does seem to be what I think is the biggest issue is in regards residuals, which is like the payment the writer, and it could also be an actor or whoever, but in this case we're talking about the writers receive for their work after the fact, like down the line. So in the past, the way residuals used to work, you were on a show, you wrote some episodes, you got paid for all that, and then like when the show went to syndication or it re-aired or something, you got a small portion of payment for whatever like the show sold to for syndication or something like that. And then everything when it went to digital and online, that's what changed. And the last writer's strike was a big about getting residuals for online sales and like all the internet stuff. And part of the problem now is it seems to be like some sort of flat rate or something. I don't know what precisely the residual formula is now, but basically also um the writers don't get a whole lot, even no matter how big the show is. That was the thing. In the old days, if you wrote on a really, really popular show, its syndication would be worth a lot more, right? So then you would get more from your residuals because it sells for more. You get a small portion of that, then that's more. But now, no matter how popular a show is, they're not getting a whole lot of money. So what the WGA is asking for is residuals based on viewership from the streaming, Netflix, Hulu, whatever. So like the more views it gets, then the more the residual to the writer, in this case, the writer would be. Um, Basically they're saying no. The streamers, the studios are just, it's like a flat out no. And also, according to this article, there was no counter offer. And part of the problem also is because if from the streamer's perspective, in order to do that, to comply with that, they would then have to disclose the actual viewership. Because you have to, they just can't like send you a check and be like, sorry, man, no one was watching your shows.
right, right.
Very little, like, sorry, it's just how it goes. So they would have to disclose that. And they don't want to. Apparently, I thought there was
Interesting.
at least some disclosure, but apparently, at least part of the impasse is that they would have to disclose all the viewership numbers along with the check, essentially saying this is the numbers and this is how much you get. So that's the impasse, and I understand why, because like, especially if you're on a really popular show and you do great work, and even 5 years later that show's getting views and it's doing something, you get a check in the mail and that's covering the time you're not working. That's the purpose of residuals to begin with, because you may not be working for 2 years or something. So you get that check in the mail that helps you. So that's where the impasse is. It does seem to be, I think, the most important issue in this strike.
Yeah, I agree with that because there's shows like, Schitt's Creek that people got on much later. Like for me, I didn't start watching Schitt's Creek until I heard that they swept all the Emmys.
Mm-hmm.
I heard it was a good show, but I think that's what made it go to like the top of my list and for me to start binging it. So no, I completely understand. And if streamers, if they don't disclose that information, like the writers, right? How do they know that's an actual fair pay, right?
Right, right.
Or fair wages? So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, so I've tweeted this, and posted on social media that I myself am a union member at my work, so I definitely stand in solidarity with them. So hopefully it's sooner than later for sure. I would imagine they would want to get back to doing what what they love doing, and obviously with a fair wage in place.
Yeah.
Anything
Mhm.
else there? Something about like being on production or anything like that on site?
Well, as the WJ is on WGA, the Writers Guild is on strike. There can be no writing. That's per the rules. Um, now there can be now many writers like the big three and just many people have dual capacities. They're also producers on the show. Sometimes they may be directors. You know, technically you can still do producing, you can still do directing. But then this is more recent, and I don't know in the last strike, my understanding, and I could be misremembering this, or I just knew it wrong, is anything in regards to like producing was okay, like if it wasn't actually writing, and that could be like very little things. But the WGA, at least they claimed, they said, I guess it's called like A to H. Basically it means like little things, like you chop off a line, or let's just say like in Cobra Kai they have a scene in Johnny's apartment with Miguel, and then they go, oh wait, this is stupid, let's just move this scene to Miguel's apartment. But it's the same scene. You have all the words. But even like changing the location, that would be considered rewriting. So that
Right.
technically is banned, at least to any WGA member. So, so like in regards to Cobra Kai, John, who should be is in WGA, he can't say, let's move the scene. But if Joel Nova, the director, is not, maybe he can do that. Because that's, as a director, directors do that sort of thing too. So, um, yeah, there's a lot of like fuzziness. At least like one person can't do it. Like the WGA people can't do it, but there's other people who aren't in the WGA and they can do that. That's their job. So we'll see. But at least when John, Josh, and Hayden, they posted that picture, they obviously weren't on set at that point.
Right.
So I don't know what's going on like in that. Did I kind of explain it to you?
You did, absolutely. And I asked you that because we also kind of discussed this, I suppose last week, when the picture was taken, and I had made observations like, oh, well, at least two of the writers, aren't pictured.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
One of which I've seen in previous photos. The other one I haven't seen since the photograph at Sony in front of the van. So I was just thinking, I was like, oh, well, possibly they could be in Atlanta, not writing, but just according to the few rules. I know you sent me a few things.
Mm-hmm.
It just in the language, it didn't say anything about not being on set. It just as long as you weren't writing, put the pen down, right? So
Yeah.
I know,
But
some people,
they can improve casting,
yeah,
anything like that. So there is other work to be done, because
yeah,
that's not writing.
like producing.
Yes, producing, directing, all that part of it, of running, the reality of running a multi-million-dollar TV show.
Right, right. And a lot of the actors are down there too.
Mhm.
And I seen some of the stories with like Sholo, Jacob, and Gianni. They're down there playing Magic or whatever it is. I think it's Magic. Yeah, I think that was just tonight, right before we went online here.
Oh,
Anything else worth mentioning? I know Jeff Kaplan for the Cruise fans, J Cap. He just released an album recently. I checked that out tonight. A lot of fun songs. Balloon. Let me see. Something Balloon. Balloon is my. Um, I had it here somewhere. It's Balloon to Call My Own. I think is my favorite song. I just think it has a really nice rhythm and bounce to it. Like you put it on and it sounds
and
very
it just
fun.
floats away.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit like a red balloon, float or something like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. So that's also something. Brent Ernst just announced another event he's doing in Vegas pretty soon. I know Ken Cole went to go see him in Vegas and had a good time. So if you guys are in the area, check them out. Um, I think that's it. So six, no, top, six things. Top things we want to see in season six. And when we were discussing this topic, basically it's stuff that we actually want to see like visually, right? And so it's not just a throwaway line or dialogue, right? We actually want to see a sequence of this or a scene or what have you.
Yeah, like a moment or something, and this is partially based on something I notice whenever anyone has a theory, and people love sharing their theories with me, which is okay.
Yeah,
I get it.
they sure do.
Yeah, I get it. A lot of times, what people really have more than like a theory is like they're visualizing something. They have a visual, like this is something they see. It's a moment they almost can feel it. And that kind of overrides everything because sometimes people visualize things that like make no sense logically within the story.
Right.
But like it's a cool visual. And sometimes I'll tell them that's a cool visual. I don't see how the story gets there, but maybe it's something, cool to visualize. So this is something I thought, yeah, something we want to see yeah, like a full out moment, something cool, not just like a throwaway line. Also, regardless of whether or not we think it'll happen. Like, so I threw something, maybe it won't happen. I think won't happen actually, but it's a cool visual. So, and I would like
Right.
to see it. So,
On that note, did was it difficult for you to come up with these moments or things that you want to see?
a lot of times we've been doing this for a few years now. It's like, it was like a process of remembering, like, what are things I thought of before I like wanted to see and stuff. So, was it's always at least like it was a little of a challenge and then ranking them and stuff. And then I'm like, oh wait, I forgot one. And so I moved one down to honorable mentions and like wrote in another, but
I think for me, I feel that, we'll do a similar episode like after we get some more news, like
Mhm.
anything that we can speculate off of, right?
Right.
So I think we can always do something like this and amend the list. So I
Mhm.
think you went before me on the last time, so we'll just do I'll go first and starting with my five. Let's see here. I have, yes, number five, The Return of Hector de Salazar.
Ooh,
Or, yeah,
that's
I, I feel there's some setup there, in those first two episodes of season five. Um, just the whole idea of, Hector mentioning that, because Miguel had won the All Valley the previous
awesome.
year, he was surprised that he hadn't heard of them. So,
Right.
does he keep eyes on fighters? That way, these are opportunities where he can hire said fighters and
Hmm.
kind of all that deal. So I could see him making a return.
Hmm.
Uh, I guess the other thing is like if we get more episodes and we know that they're longer, I feel we could even have you know, a completely different list as well. Like these are like, well, I feel there's a little bit of setup, as opposed to if we know that they're going to spend a lot of time, working up, building up to the Sekai Takai.
Hmm.
Maybe, the list changes because it does open up Hector more, right? Like
Hmm.
this is number five because I think the likelihood of him showing up is the smallest of this five, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, I understand. Like, it's like there's reasons to really think that could happen. I've
Yes.
talked about it. I think I'm going to talk about it more soon. Um,
Oh, okay.
uh, but like, it's like, then sometimes you just like, you don't know. Sometimes I've really thought these guys were going in some way and then they did something else. Um, because like, well, I guess that makes sense too. So, it definitely looks like there could be a lot more here, like I said. But it don't always know. Don't always fully can ever know for sure.
All right. And so to you for number five.
So this one I think could be a fun one, or I would hope. Yeah, I would hope.
Uh,
Uh, I do want to see a double date, Sam and Miguel with Ravi and Tori, sort of like our double date back in season two with the older couples. I
Yes, I
think,
think,
yeah,
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 go ahead.
go, yeah. I mean, I think there's just like a lot of, there's so much history between all these people. Like at this point, like there's just so much history. I think like a double date of like things, I don't know, going comically wrong or a fight almost breaking out or breaking out. I'm not even sure which way you could go. There's a lot of different ways you can go with it, but yeah, there's a lot of fun there that I visualize them at that sitting at that table.
Absolutely. Yeah. The idea of that excites me. And I feel like the idea may have crossed my mind at some point, but just only ever so briefly. But you kind of putting it more into words, that does sound like a lot of fun. If we parallel the older couple with them
Mm-hmm.
and, flip the script, right? And instead of the two guys rivaling, going at it, it would
Mm.
be Tori and Sam,
They were
while
comparing
Miguel.
dojo sizes or
Yes,
yeah.
yes, there you go. That, and then you'll have Robbie and Miguel actually getting along.
Hmm.
And it's just like they remind you of someone, don't they?
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're dads. Something like that. Yeah,
Hmm.
I like that. And it doesn't have to be something that kind of goes on. It's just one evening.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, I like that. Okay, let's see. My number four. I feel this was also a bit of a setup. I think there's definitely things that point to this being a strong possibility, and that is the relationship between Kreese and Sensei Kim.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It definitely feels implied there.
Right, just because when we first see her, there's the mention of Kreese and how she was disappointed to see that he was not present for her arrival. And then
Hmm.
the flashback,
Hmm.
couple episodes, actually, I believe the following episode, the flashback to
Hmm.
1980, 79, 80.
80. Yeah, I think it's 80. Because Johnny's already a student, right?
Okay,
So,
right. So yeah, the flashback to that, just that little look, and you know, that yeah, there's something there. So in the way Kim left Silver in the finale of season five, yeah,
mhm.
I feel it's almost inevitable, just to take Chris's word there, that they link up. So yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I think they trust each other is something, and she always trusted Kreese more than Silver. That's just he's just you kind of get that impression. Like,
Yeah. Yep. All right. You're number four.
my number four, the secret scroll Miyagi-Do move, perhaps
Ooh.
executed by Anthony. I
Okay.
just like,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know the build up, and of course I don't know the move. But like this, you gave us this scroll, which I guess the writing in it, people have translated it. As best they could, they translated it, but it talks about that it's dangerous and the user could be killed while doing it. So it's a very dangerous, but it's got to be really cool, right? So I don't know the situation, but some cool move that maybe saves everyone from the scroll.
Except for Anthony, right? If he
Yeah,
executes it, then
yeah,
he is sacrificing himself to
mm,
save the family, which is something that Mr. Miyagi had um, predicted, I guess,
yeah.
because of the
Well,
kick.
yeah, the scroll doesn't say you will die. It just seems to warn you may die, or you could.
Right. Okay, that's it. I forgot about the scroll, and that should definitely be on the list, for sure. Okay, so to circle back around to me for number three. Okay, so I wouldn't call this one. I don't think this one was really set up for it to be inevitable, like you would imagine. So at this point with my number three, but this one was more of how much I would like to see this. Okay, so this goes back to visually, just because. I believe it ended prematurely in, I mean, did it? Yeah, I guess it really did start prematurely in season four. And in the finale of season five, Johnny says that he was sucker kicked. And so I think that we still need a Johnny versus Terry Silver fight.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I definitely wanted to include a fight in there, and um, like it's easy for me to think, well, like Chosen and Silver, they're not finished, but I don't think we need to see another one. It would be
Yeah,
great
we
and
already got
welcomed.
one. Yeah.
Yeah, but we already got the one. Let's
Hmm.
let's see Johnny get to finish his fight
Hmm.
or a fair fight.
That's good. Yeah. Because yeah, well, you just want Johnny to win a big one, although he just beat the fist, which
Yeah, he did all of
oh,
this.
he did
Yeah,
most of this. Yeah. So yeah, that's a good one. It seems like, Johnny's got to fight someone and, getting it back on Silver.
and,
Yeah.
and for
Yeah.
Silver to say things like, like what is it with you? Like I don't he never saw it in Johnny, and
Hmm.
so I think there's some weight to that as well. The fight, not just for like fighting sake, right? So
Hmm.
yeah, he took some jabs, and I'm sure Silver blames Johnny a little bit for his relationship with Kreese.
Hmm.
Without Johnny there, then maybe the did would have joined the Psychiatric Eye a little bit earlier. So.
Right. Yeah. It's true. And in a way, Johnny is what came between, uh, Kreese and Silver. Johnny's the thing that drove them apart. So yeah, something to finish.
Indeed. The number three to you.
Um, so this is what I have. I want to see Julie Pierce shine in the tournament. Um, so it's obviously then she's back in it, and I want to see her like in a tournament setting because in the next Karate Kid they did like street fighting, so we never saw her in that side of it. And I've just been kind of stuck on this, since I kind of made that movie about, Julie Pierce, or movie, video.
Oh, you filmed the movie?
Yeah, no. But I made the video, and so like, I just like want to see her kicking back ass and going round after round and just, taking that side of what she learned Miyagi Do. You got to have a flashback from the movie with her and Mr. Miyagi somewhere in there. So yeah, I
Absolutely.
really want to see Julie Pierce like that.
Oh yeah. So I love the way you worded it too.
Mhm.
As if like it's a foregone conclusion. Like, well, of course she's gonna be in it. But
Yeah.
how would we see her? Well, I want to see this. So
Mhm.
funny enough, I have this for my number two, and
Mhm.
so it's I echo everything you just said.
Mhm.
We've already got the setup from the beginning of season two,
Mhm.
and there's just everyone's talking about it on social media. Like, there's no way that they don't know each other. Her grandmother stayed at that house, and
Mhm.
so Daniel didn't just come home one day and not see her, because he
Right.
was also living there.
Mhm.
And so that's something that needs to be addressed there. Um, just because they did so well with like even characters, Jessica Andrews, is just like I can't see how we don't get a mention of Julie Pierce,
Right.
to kind of close it out. So at the
Mhm.
very least, like some sort of mention. Um, all right. So to you for number two.
Okay, yeah, that was your two. So my number two, oh, okay. Yeah, Daniel in his Ford, the banana boat, and Johnny in the Cobra Kai mobile, just
Okay.
cruising down Ventura Boulevard side by side, just hanging it out. So it's just the cool shot to the
Let it
karate
hang out.
badasses.
Let
Yep,
it hang it out. Hey,
own the
hanging it.
valley, and they're just
What's hanging
cruising
out?
down.
What's hanging out exactly?
Daniel has the top down,
Oh,
so
sure, sure.
he's
Letting it all hang out.
he's got,
Gotcha.
yeah.
I gotcha. That kind of reminds me of like, what was it, Fast Seven? Is that what it was called? Furious Seven? Fast Seven. Where Paul Walker and Vin Diesel are driving alongside each other, and
Mm,
then they part ways at the end because that was the film that Paul Walker
his
horribly,
last one,
yeah,
yeah.
his passing, during
Mhm.
during the production of that one. So I like it. I like that idea. So my number one is like a huge cheat because like we can get a lot of things with my number one, and I'll just go straight right into it. But the wedding between one Johnny LaRusso, Johnny Johnny Lawrence.
There's a lot of fan fiction writers who are like,
Yes.
yes, yes, he took Ralph's name, he took Daniel's name.
Should. So Johnny Lawrence and Carmen Diaz.
Mm,
So they have the baby, and it's going to end with a wedding. This is also where you can throw in your Chosen and Kumiko one last time,
Hmm.
and all those other people that everybody's been wanting. They were invited to the wedding too. We'll see Lucille again, and cousin Ness and Louis. So we'll get to see all of them back together. And I had to fit this in here somewhere, and I didn't want it in my honorable mentions, but maybe we get drunk not drunk Ralph, drunk Daniel, and there's ice blocks right there, and decides, him and Chosen,
Ah,
one last time because we got the blue balls right in season 2, episode 3,
hmm.
at the Damn Valley Fest. So Daniel never got to break those blocks again, and I would love to see him do it at Johnny's wedding. So number one, the wedding.
No, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Thank you.
Uh, yeah, the wedding, like to me, like was like so obvious. And it's also something like, I guess I didn't include it on my list just because like for me, like it's not some, it's something new from season 5. So like, it's not something I've been dreaming of for a while now
Uh,
because that's like the newest. I don't know if that makes any sense. Like most of mine are
yeah,
like things.
yeah.
Yeah. Like I've been thinking about for a while, but,
Because that one's not there's no setup it's just
yeah.
almost kind of like, well, if
Mhm.
they gave us like the trope of having a baby, then I mean, I guess it doesn't always come with a wedding, but they don't necessarily go hand in hand. But I guess the other thing is, do you think we're gonna get like a Miyagi verse like ending, where it's like a cut and it's a still shot of somebody, Johnny, doing his smirk or something, or maybe
You're talking
you know
about the last shot.
yeah, the last shot, or do we think we're just
I've
gonna get
actually
like a
been
happy?
thinking about that, and just the way you worded that just now is something like I've been thinking like, what would the last shot be? There's so many different possibilities, and I've wondered if somehow they'll even uh bring back the last shot from the original Karate Kid, and it's Miyagi. Maybe just Daniel like looks over and he feels like he could see Miyagi or something, and it's Miyagi doing that shot exactly, and that could be the last shot of the
Well,
series.
it could also, I mean, would that be like after like a victory at the Sekai Takai or something?
Yeah, I mean, it could be there. I don't know where it would be. I don't know where.
Yeah,
It's
Be-
just like a visual thing, right? So, how did we
you,
get there? They came together or something, or who knows?
it could also be like if Daniel is, like how Daniel's visited the tombstone at least a couple times now, right? And what if it's something like him and Johnny are together, and like Daniel looks over,
Hmm.
Johnny comes over, and
Hmm.
they give this knowing nod. It's like, oh, you see him, right?
Hmm. Right.
Not literally, right? But like you're thinking of Miyagi right now. Like I get it, me too, kind of thing. Like like I understand this moment, and I'm sharing it with you, kind of thing.
And it
Uh,
would be a good
Nice,
opportunity for Johnny to remember he gave Daniel the trophy, which, as per the way the show is presented, it appears that Johnny doesn't remember what happened correctly.
right, right.
And that's
Well, I like
that's
that.
kind of like an unresolved issue. So yeah, we could tie all that together.
I like it. Let's
Mhm.
see. And your number one.
Number one, well, sort of like in the way of a Miyagi verse reunion, but I want the biggest fight ever. I want all the legacy characters, all of them fighting it. Daniel, Johnny, Chosen, Barnes, Julie Pierce, Bobby, in Vidal. We haven't seen him yet. I
Right.
want
Yeah.
Vidal in there too. Like I want everyone like in just the biggest, most massive, most insane just fight. I want to see them all together. I don't know who they're fighting. I don't know who. Maybe I don't know. But like everyone's got to just be in there. We got to go out on top, like in just like the biggest, coolest thing. And like, I just want to see like the Miyagi verse in the karate kicking.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's see what the possibilities. I mean, it could be amongst each other. They're fighting for that one slice, the last cake, right? Like
yeah,
I
cake.
brought that up
Yeah.
before, but
Right.
usually it's about Anthony, taking the cake, and Robbie and Miguel fighting over, but Anthony grabs it. If it's the legacy characters, like I think something like they want to be the godfather or the godparent, to the baby or something, or
Hmm.
maybe they want to name the kid, and they
Hmm.
all
Oh.
fight over like which name's better, and they settle it on the mat, like something like the proper way of settling things. I think, yeah, at least in that universe,
or on the rug or on the
or
concrete,
the uh, the
wherever
the
they
uh
happen to be standing.
the platform,
The
right? The sparring
platform.
deck,
Yeah. Yeah. There you go. It's true. It's true. It's a good
Yeah,
idea.
I mean, how beautiful would it be to have in Miyagi's backyard?
Hmm.
You know, it's right there. So, I mean, I guess the Eagle Fang building would work. It's cheap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I mean, I can imagine Johnny pitching it to Carmen.
I mean, she'd probably be okay with it too. But yeah, so we'll see. I like that. All right. So now what I'll do is I'll list my top five, including the three honorable mentions that I have.
Hmm.
Let me just, yeah, let me recap the five first.
Hmm.
Return of Hector, Kreese and Sensei Kim. Yeah, yeah, just more of that backstory. Well, what's going on there? Johnny versus Silver. I think Johnny needs to get a fair fight there. Julie Pierce, her return. They could write something just as important for her in
Hmm.
in one in one episode, just like they did Jessica Andrews. So I can see that happening. And the wedding, where Daniel's gonna finally break some ice, and Chandler and Kumiko are also in attendance, and legacy characters as well. Now, for my honorable mentions, I have Sean and Kenny reunite. I
Okay.
think Sean
Well.
will
Hmm.
probably finally get out in season six, and we yeah, I would like to see the two brothers reunite. I don't think
Hmm.
Sean will join a karate dojo. That doesn't have to happen.
Hmm.
I just want to see Kenny um not feeling the need to have to fight, right? But
Hmm.
he can be very integral to the team as well.
Hmm.
If he does want to continue karate.
Hmm.
Tori's mother, it should be like Tori's family, the Nichols, really. Um, I just feel, I don't think it'll be like a huge reveal, but I feel, maybe something where her, mother gets better and it gets to see her like graduate, or at least go through graduation. If it's bad, then I think you know then we're talking about like maybe is Terry Silver involved, and because what does this do to her? And this is one of those things that like if something goes bad for Tori and her family,
Hmm.
I feel we're gonna have more than 10 episodes or at least longer than 30 some odd minutes per episode.
Hmm.
Like I feel they need more time
Hmm.
for this other story for Tori,
Hmm.
and so. Uh, that is that it? Was that three? Oh, and the last one is I don't know if we'll see them get to this point, but some mention of college, right? In season
Yeah.
four, yeah, we learned about Miguel and Sam. There was talks about college, so I want to see. We know that Daniel did go to college, and um, what was the extent of Johnny? Like I know he partied like in his 20s and stuff like that. Did he ever mention college?
I don't think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, this could be like the first, right?
Hmm.
That goes to college because we know that Julie was also in high school. Chosen was working for his uncle. So I can't think of, other than, kids in high school. I like to see them at some point, maybe in the last episode or get an acceptance letter,
Yeah.
to school. Yeah,
It's going to
just
happen.
so, yeah, just so we know that that's exactly what's going on, for them after the series end, right? Did
Right.
Miguel ever
Yeah.
get into school? He talked about it. So,
Hmm.
all right. And what about recapping your five
All
and
right.
your three honorables?
All right. So, going back through my five, double date of Sam and Miguel and Robbie and Tori. A lot of potential in that one. The secret scroll Miyagi-Do move, perhaps done by Anthony. So, it's too big of a setup for, not a payoff. So we
Yeah.
got to see that. Julie Pierce, to shine somehow in the tournament. I just want to see Julie Pierce shine, complete with like a Miyagi flashback or something. Daniel in his Ford, Daniel in his car, Johnny in the Cobra Kai mobile, just cruising side by side down Ventura Boulevard. karate badasses of the valley. I got to get the cars together. They hit the cars so well, and they need them both together side by side. That's what we haven't had yet.
Oh, so
That's
we're assuming that Stingray gives him back the car, right? Because isn't that
or he gets it somehow. Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
currently Stingray has it. So,
right? Maybe he tries to give Stingray the keys, and he's like, no,
mhm,
you hold on to it, or just him returning it, just in
mhm,
for just to be kind, and it's like your wedding here. Let me get the car
yeah.
back, kind of thing. Okay,
And
so oh
number
yeah,
one,
you're yep.
number one, biggest fight ever. All the legacy characters: Daniel, Johnny, Chosen, Barnes, Julie Pierce, Bobby, Vidal, all of them just in a big, massive brawl of something. And so, my three honorable mentions, something I've been wanting to see for a while. I want to see Amanda throw some karate moves. Um,
There you go.
I always say, she knew Miyagi, she knew Daniel during that. At some point, she did train a little with him, even if it resulted in Anthony. I always just want to see her throw something. So Amanda
Right.
throws some karate moves. Um, Miguel, Robbie, and the others leading classes in their own dojo. I've always like imagined the next generation, them being kind of the ones to come together and maybe running their own dojo. They don't go to college. Instead they go into business. So maybe they're gonna run their own dojo. So it's something that I've been kind of imagining. So I do want to see them kind of take that role. I've been waiting for it for a while.
Yeah, I
And
do like
yeah.
that. Yeah,
Hmm.
it's
Hmm.
kind of like just kind of um the next step for them. Yeah,
Hmm.
in karate because it's become a part of them. With
Hmm.
someone like Sam and Robbie, they both kind of grew up with it. Took some time out, and Miguel obviously exceeds in it, so excels in it as well. But yeah, that would be kind of cool to see them take that next step and become senseis themselves. I like that.
Hmm. Hmm. And this is kind of like another reunion, a reunion of the Cobras, Bobby, Jimmy, and Dutch. Um,
Right? Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's Dutch is the guy we didn't get, for various reasons. He may not be back. But since I specifically said the rule was even if you don't think it'll happen, so that's why I included that because I would like to see that get them back together.
But I feel we have people telling us on social media that if TP3 would just give Chad McQueen like $250,000, he'll do it. Right? Does that
Oh,
sound right?
I didn't know people had a price. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
didn't know they did. Chad McQueen has a price, and I know it's 250,000. So,
Yes, I have seen it in chat rooms, and I believe even in one of my comments in the videos and stuff like that. I just delete. I
it's true.
sanitize it a little bit.
I guess what
So
I don't
I don't
know.
know where they came with that. I was just like, I thought they made it clear, but I'm sure there's always that possibility. But who knows? I like that idea a
Everyone
lot.
has a price. Everyone has a price. So,
Right, right.
you know.
Okay, so we let's see. I put a little post in our Facebook group, and I got some feedback here. This one's from JD. He says Julie Pierce, Freddie Fernandez, BD Wong's cameo character from Karate Kid Part 2, and also seriously, Julie Pierce. So just in case you were wondering, Julie Pierce.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
what do you think about those? Julie Pierce, Freddie Fernandez, and BD Wong.
Freddy's the one actually I forgot to mention because I was trying to write through all the legacy characters and since Freddy wasn't a karate guy, I missed him in my one with the big fight. But yeah, he's definitely someone we're
Maybe
missing.
maybe he's catering, maybe not even catering, but is applying the caterers, Fernandez meats or whatever,
Hmm. Yeah.
right? And so maybe he's there, possibly even serving some spaghetti, a little nod to the first movie. They
Hmm.
both worked or he worked there at the club.
Hmm.
So yeah, I like that. Jeff says, I just want to see the story wrapped up in a good way, with Kreese getting what he deserves and Kumiko and Chosen getting married.
Hmm.
Oh, and Johnny and Carmen too. Got to see that baby. So we got a glimpse of a baby,
Hmm.
but not their baby. You think the baby will come out with like curly locks, like blonde curly locks? Just put a wig on it, just to be funny. It's just like, oh, this is Johnny's baby. Um, Yeah, I think we kind of mentioned it, and
Hmm.
TB3's had their end game for some time, I believe. So
Hmm.
all right. Next one comes from Rhonda. She says, "I want Kreese and Silver to make up." LOL. What do you think about that? I mean, the
I'm
fact
not
that
sure she's serious. She wrote LOL, so I think
right,
it's kind of a
or
joke. People have said that though, like, or what
yeah,
will they get back together or reunite or I don't think so, but I get like that. Like I said, that's like something visual, like you see them together.
yeah. I mean, I would like to see them together. Makeup, I'm not so sure. I feel we got a lot of clues in season four. How Terry feels about Kreese, and then we'll see. We'll see. I mean, because they can literally write anything. Um, with the season six here. Allie from across the pond, she says, "I want Daniel and Johnny fighting bad guys together, like the Chop Chop fight, but they
Mhm.
know each other's moves, so they are in perfect harmony." Yeah, I,
Yeah.
I, I think we've yet to
Hmm.
see that. In season five, it was Chosen and Johnny. So if Chosen and Johnny can do it, why can't Daniel and Johnny?
Absolutely. Hmm.
Yeah, and this time he'll be there. So. Dorian says, Johnny saying, Daniel, we did it.
Oh,
And
that's an
Jose,
interesting take. Yeah. Mhm.
yeah, Jose adds, or Daniel saying, "You're all right, Lawrence." That one just gave me chills.
Oh, yeah. A reverse.
Yeah, yeah,
That's a good way to end it. Yeah.
that's
Very
a good
good.
one. Jose commented himself. He says, "I'm not kidding, but I want Kumiko to reject Chosen and for him to move on and find someone else. The idea of pairing up someone who once held a knife to the throat of the other person seems a tad problematic, even with forgiveness. Close friends, sure. More intimate than that, then that should be a hard pass. Chosen deserves to find someone, but even with what I mentioned, Kumiko still hasn't let Daniel go in her heart."
Mm,
Ooh, that's a very interesting take. I didn't even think about that.
yeah. I feel like I saw people speculating that back in season three, but it never
Sure.
really came up. But
Yeah, but I kind of get where Jose's coming from, but also I feel, with the Kumiko went after Chosen. She went to go find him again,
mhm,
right? As an adult.
mhm.
And I feel that's like more than friends. Right?
Right, and I think Chosen felt that too.
Right.
He always.
For him to
Mhm,
make that call and say everything that he said,
mhm.
um, and even Daniel gave like his quote unquote blessing, so
Which was
that that
important. Yeah. Mhm.
that's important, right? Because
Right.
in the event that does happen, then it's kind of like, well, that was shoehorned in because
Mhm,
Daniel's still like we don't know, so they already kind of gave us like those closures. I
mhm,
feel so. It's an interesting take. I
mhm,
don't know how I feel about it because that's never even thought about that possibility. I was just like,
yeah.
well, of course, sure, why not?
Mhm.
So. Because he had to say what he needed to say. He was going to die. At least that's what I
It's
was thinking
true.
at the time.
You're right. Right. It made sense. It
Right,
made
right.
sense. This is how you know you're going.
Yeah. And Christian commented under Jose's that says, "I can honestly kind of agree with this," is what he says, and that's
Mhm.
pretty much it. So I did share like a graphic that I found. Forgot where I found it. I think it was on a website like wegotitcovered.com or something like that.
Mm.
It was an article that they did, but they took some of the images from the season four poster, I think it was, or the character photos, and they put it behind like the Cobra Kai, the I the VI, yeah, the VI for six. And so I think people were also commenting on that graphic as if I made it. Like, no, this is a thread for feedback. So I got to be careful with that. I guess
Be
what I
careful.
use
Yeah.
for,
Hmm.
what I post. So that's pretty much it. I want to thank everybody that left their list. And um, I don't know, like, do you think we should maybe announce the next topic so that way, like, for those people that aren't on social media, they can email in or something, with their feedback? Because I mean, we also don't know. But if you guys end up sending feedback and you missed a recording, we'll still read it, on
Hmm.
the future episodes. So what do you think? You want to announce these at the end, so that way people can write in.
On the cast,
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, we would just have to pick what it's going to be.
I
Do
shared
you
one
know
with
what the
you.
next one's going to be?
Kind of, because yeah, I figured we just alternate, and
Yeah.
this topic was yours. I gave you one, I think yesterday, and you kind of liked it. Miyagi one. You want to do that one?
Okay.
Okay, so the way I worded it to you was basically top five like moments that Miyagi was mentioned or referenced,
Yeah,
right?
you're a top five mentions of Miyagi. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I had it worded as mentions of Miyagi, and basically what you asked was exactly what I meant. Like anytime Mr. Miyagi was referenced and mentioned, you just your top five of that, just because they made it a point after around the time the show came out, was that it was important to them, including Ralph, that the spirit of Miyagi lived on in this series,
Right.
because yeah, that was something that they discussed.
Hmm.
And John had a quote too, and I turned it into a graphic. I forgot what it said, but it was basically, yeah, kind of talking about that was important to them as well, as a whole. That without
Yeah.
Miyagi, they don't have these movies really. So
Right.
that's why we call it the Miyagi verse.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's probably going to be almost just ranking them. You know, I feel there's going to be a lot of overlapping.
Hmm.
But let's celebrate
We'll
him.
see.
And if we still recorded in the month of May, that's also with the AAPI Heritage
Hmm.
Month. So kind of lines falls in line with that. So Watch Party, you got anything you're working on, Cobra Kai related or otherwise, that you want to promote?
Yes, I'm working on the season 6 video. Um, yeah, Hector the Salazar and stuff. So I think that's what that's hopefully it'll be out relatively soon. And then, live streams, and I'm on social media, Twitter and Instagram at Watch Party One.
All right. And, we have a lot of ideas for these episodes while we're in the off season. And, we have the group. If you want to join that, leave the feedback in there. If you want to email feedback, it's cobrakaipod@gmail.com. And you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram as well. Cobra Kai Pod on Twitter, Cobra Kai Companion on Instagram. Um, and I recently changed the Podstalgic podcast feed, which is my movie podcast. I've turned that into the Companion Network. That's where I'll be uploading the Twisted Metal episode and the reviews of Obliterated when that comes out. Basically, like I'm gonna keep Cobra Kai Companion as its own thing because it's the flagship, and so like anything Miyagi verse related will continue to go on this feed. Everything else, like the extended Miyagi-verse, the stuff that TV3 does, and the writers do, stuff like that, I can put it on the Companion Network feed. So you can search for that now and subscribe to it. It's currently the Nostalgic cover art. I have Mark, aka Let's Be Water, working on the Companion Network logo and graphics as well. So shout out to Hazard, for those that are on social media, are very familiar with his work, and he recently designed a Sweet Tooth for the Twisted Metal logo. And so,
Which
yep,
looked pretty cool. Yeah.
yeah, thank you. I went through four different variations of the background behind Sweet Tooth, and um, some were a little bit busier than other, and I even played around with like pink because of his ice cream truck. And yeah, we settled on that orange, so it really pops, and been getting a lot of love from it. So
Mm.
I think that'll do it. So we will catch you guys on the next episode. This is part of the Companion Network.